Welcome to this video tutorial about RapidMiner. My name is Abraham Otero, and this video tutorial has been designed as a support for the course that you are taking. For the data analysis course, you should download the RapidMiner tool. The RapidMiner is available from rapidminer.com. There is a free download which will enable you to install the tool in Mac, Linux, Windows, whatever your platform it is. That free download has a limitation in the number of data it can analyze. It is limited to 10,000 rows, to 10,000 instances. At some point you want to have to register in the data mining website and apply for a educational license. You may use your educational email from the university, or you may use some other email. They don't check the emails, they will give you the license anyway, but the license will enable you to lift those restrictions on the number of data to analyze. The concrete product we have to download is RapidMiner Studio. This is the desktop tool that we'll be using for data analysis in this part of the course, and the tool is the one you have in the screen right now. The organization of this tool is similar to the organization of many integrated development environments for computer languages. In this area over here is where we're going to have our projects, which within RapidMiner they are called processes, and that's also where we're going to have our data sources, the data we are going to analyze. In this tab over here we have different operators. Those operators will allow us to transform, to import, to export, and to analyze the data and to validate the models we have built about that data. We will drag into the main area of RapidMiner, the process area, which is where we're going to build the data analysis workflow graphically. And those operators typically they're going to have properties which can be configured, and that's done in this parameter tab over here. This help, it's usually showing us some help related to the operator we have selected in the main area of RapidMiner in the process area. We're going to start this tutorial by visualizing just some data. We're going to go to the samples data. This is data which comes prepackaged with the RapidMiner tool, and here in samples, if we go to data, for example, if we get the golf dataset and we drag it here, this square over here, this operator, it represents the data from the golf dataset that we have covered in the course, and these are the 14 golf games. The play is what we usually try to predict for this dataset. That's why it's shown in green, is what RapidMiner calls the label, the class, what we would like to predict. And here we have the outlook, temperature, humidity, and wind, the 4 attributes that we have in order to try to predict whether we play or not a golf game. The first column we have here is an additional column which RapidMiner will always add to the data, which is just the row number, the instance number. It's not really part of the original data. This was added after loading the data. These 5 columns over here are the real data. Let's go back to the designer. Here we also have the iris dataset, which has also been covered in the theory part of the course. If we drag here the operator representing the dataset, we're going to see that besides a green attribute, which is the label, the class that we want to predict, and the length and the width of the sepals and the petals, these 4 numeric attributes, we also have an additional column. The blue column was part of the version of the iris dataset within RapidMiner. Blue means it is an ID, a unique identifier, something which is useless with analytical purposes, but can be helpful if for some reason we want to identify a specific instance. Besides the data, which already comes prepackaged within the RapidMiner environment, we can import new data into RapidMiner, and that's usually done in the local repository. The local repository is where we're going to store the data that we import into the environment, as well as the different data analysis workflow we create. If we right-click the local repository and we click on Configure Repository, we may change the name of the repository, and that really is quite irrelevant. You can call it something else if you want, but it's not a big deal. The second attribute of the repository, it is a big deal. That's the folder in the local machine where the repository will be saved. You should change that folder to some folder in your computer of which you perform frequent backups, because that's where you're going to be storing your work in RapidMiner, whatever analysis you do, and that's what you want to have copies of. RapidMiner, you may download again the tool. So by using this button over here, just select whatever folder you want in your file system as the folder where everything is going to be filed. In my case, is in a hard disk in the RapidMiner last repository folder. Is a folder I have created myself. Wherever it is, make copies of it, because that's your real work that you have done with RapidMiner. Let's import one of the datasets that I have provided with this course in the zip file, which was among the materials of the course. We'll do that by using the import data. We're going to import it from the file system of our computer. We may also import data from databases, but in this case it will be just from the file system. And here we need to navigate to wherever you have uncompressed in your computer the data of the course. In my case is in this unit, in this folder over here. When you have uncompressed the data.zip file, you should create 4 subfolders, and we're going to go to the classification one, and we're going to import the breast tissue.xls. This data is information about the different properties of different breast tissue samples from different patients. We're going to click here on Next, and we're going to see the first sheet of the Excel spreadsheet. You may open that file also in Excel if you want to, and you'll see that it has 2 different sheets. The first one is just a summary of how many patients we have and how many attributes we have and different types of tissues that we would like to be able to identify, whether the tissue is carcinoma, whether it is connective tissue, addictive tissue, or so on. This is the number of patients we have, the number of samples we have of that type of tissue. We really care about the second sheet, which is where we have our feature vectors. That's our data, and it seems to have been loaded correctly, so I'm going to click here on Next. The first screen is just visualization of the real data in the case there was some problem when importing the data, and in this second screen we can change properties of each of the columns, attributes. And the first thing we're going to do is this case number, which is a unique identifier in this data set. I'm going to change the role, change the type of column from a standard attribute, which is what all the attributes are going to be by default, to ID, unique identifier. And it will tell RapidMiner that this is not a normal attribute, it's a unique identifier of each of the instances in the dataset. The class is what I would like to learn how to predict in this dataset, is the type of tissue. So I'm going to also change the role from a standard attribute to label. Label is how RapidMiner calls the class to which the instances belong to. Labels are shown in green, as you can see, and unique identifiers in blue, in that light blue color, and standard attributes in white. All the standard attributes are metric, are real numbers in these datasets, and they have to be imported in the proper way. In the case some of them they were not, I could change the type of the data to, for example, polynomial, which could be text, or binomial, if instead being a number is just a binary variable, 0, 1, or to integer, or to some other type of data. In this case everything seems to be fine, all of them seem to be real numbers, so we need not to do anything else, but specifying where we would like to save the data, in the local repository or in the temporary repository, which is just a place to perform trials and not to store data permanently, as the name says. We're going to store it in the local repository, And we may just use the default name breast tissue, although you may change the name of the data if you want to. If we click here finish, RapidMiner will visualize the data, but what's more important, if we go back to the design view, here with the icon of the database we have that dataset, which is now integrated within RapidMiner, and it may be used in the same way as the sample data which came with RapidMiner. Now I run the process, and I'm going to see the dataset I just imported. Another way I may import data into RapidMiner is by using operators. There are operators which enable me to access different data sources. These data sources may be files in our file systems, they may be databases, they may be data sources in the cloud by accessing web services. Let's go in this case to files, and for example, if I want to read data sources, here I have multiple formats such as SPSS or WCA format, the ARFF files, several other different types of formats I may load into RapidMiner. Right now we're going to load a CSV file. I'm going to drag here the operator. I'm going to connect the output port to the output of the process as always. And now I need to set up some properties of the operator, because in this case I need to tell RapidMiner where is the file that I want to load. And this is done here in the parameters tab. Here is the path of the CSV file. And I need to go to the folder where I have uncompressed the examples for the course, RapidMiner data. Also, we're going to go within the classification folder, and we're going to load the credit-g.csv file, which is information about the credit score of different clients. We're going to run the process, and we can see how the data was not imported in the proper way. We only have imported a single column which has a polynomial, a string text type of data. We can see that really here the CSV file, the first data was less than 0, and the second one was 6, and the third one was critical / other existing credit card, and so on. But here everything has been imported as a single string and not as multiple rows with multiple attributes. Let's go back to the design, and we select here the read CSV operator. We see that by default the separator of the different columns contained in the CSV file is the semicolon. However, this CSV file has the different columns separated by commas, not semicolons. So let's change the semicolon by comma, and let's run again the process. Now we can see how indeed it was correctly imported all the data. The last column is what we would like to predict in this data set. It is the class to which the operator, the class to which the client belongs to. Good credit, bad credit is not being recognized as the class, as what we would like to predict. So I'm going to change the type of that attribute from standard attribute to label. In order to do that, we'll be using an operator. I'm going to search for the operator, instead browse to it. I can type here text set role. If you type the name of the operators in that text field, it will show the operators matching that name, in this case a single one. I'm going to drag it here. I'm going to tell that set role operator, I'm going to change its properties by saying that the class column is not a regular attribute, it is a label, is what I would like to predict. I'm going to run again the process, and now we can see how the class attribute is the first one, not the last one, and it is shown in green, which is the way RapidMiner shows us that that attribute is the class is a label, what we would like to predict. And that's almost everything for this first session, but the last thing we're going to do is save this process. In order to do so, we can use this save button. We may click save process as. Process is the name of the workflows, of the graphical workflows we'll be building with RapidMiner. They are saved also in the local repository, and we can give them any name, for example, hello world. And now the process will be saved over here. It'll be here next time we open RapidMiner and we won't lose the work we have done. Through these videos, it's very interesting that you reproduce what I'm doing in the video in your own installation of RapidMiner, so you learn to do the different tasks within the tool. This is everything from now. See you on the next video.